This dictation from Progressive Exercise 13. Ready? Start. No confidence motions have become such a routine that we are not at any rate as such not bothered by their frequency except that by repeated and unsuccessful use their utility will be blunted. Though we have been in full power, we have brought this country to a stage where in many states there are government of non-congress nature either headed by single parties or by coalitions. This in itself is proof that we do not want to cling to power, that we do not want to act undemocratically. The fact is that the Congress party allowed the constitution to work. I am saying allowed because in other countries which have a constitution, there are parties which have adopted other methods and have not functioned like this. This has happened in many countries of the world and it is an aspect that we cannot ignore. There is a changed situation in India, but it is not a sudden change. We seem to think that because there was an election, a sudden change has come about. This change has been a gradual one. It has been coming about little by little, not only in every election but also between elections. We have been watching the change coming over the people, and we have been consistently saying that these are the growing pains of democracy, that these are the roots which democracy is striking in our country. We have encouraged this, and today we see entirely new situation. One of the first things that I did was to extend my hand of cooperation and friendship to the non-congress chief ministers of certain states. I am very happy to say that they responded in a like manner and they have assured me that we can work together. It is not an easy situation because not only are the economic and the food situation difficult, but the whole complexity of this new political situation is there. But we will not fail for want of trying. That is the utmost we can say on this issue. So I think it is extremely unfair of members of the opposition to pick out one instance where things have not gone smoothly. Everywhere else where there are non-congress governments, the transition has been a very smooth and even speedy one. I wish it had been so in Rajasthan and in other states also. Para. This is something which we can do only with the full cooperation of the states. It is something which we must sit down and discuss and formulate a plan which can be carried out and implemented in all parts of the country. Some have said that we would rather starve than import food. I am afraid I cannot agree with this, and I feel that it is an irresponsible statement to make in the present conditions. When I talk of cooperation with honorable members outside, it was not on small matters of procedure and things like that, although they are important, and if we can work together, it is a good thing. But Far more important is to get cooperation in matters of national importance and of life and death for our people. Certainly, food comes in that category. Food and drought relief are the foremost problems for us. Last year, we faced the same kind of problem, and it was only through a Herculean effort that we were able to avert a great human tragedy. This year is even more difficult because reserves are depleted and there is considerable uncertainty about supplies. The minister has already outlined the program of short term crops, and we must all see that this program is made a success. There is also the need to accelerate intensive cultivation programs all over the country. Many steps are being taken to deal with the immediate problem in Bihar and eastern UP. Some people here mentioned Rajasthan. I would like to say that we have not forgotten at all that Rajasthan also faces this problem, and so do areas of other states. There was the Joint Emergency Committee for Bihar set up under the Food Minister with the Bihar Chief Minister and his colleagues. It has already met 3 times. Drinking water is an acute problem in Bihar, and schemes worth over rupees 5 crores have been sanctioned by the central government. The election have thrown up certain political challenges, but the real challenge is the economic challenge of prices and production. Many honorable members opposite have talked about the economic situation. This is natural because it is a serious thing, but as usual, the diagnosis as well as the treatment has differed from person to person. This is what I mean when I say that we should get together on certain things. Let us have some kind of a minimum program on which we can agree, at least on one or two national issues. Higher production and budgetary discipline can give some respite from high price. Streamlining the administration and procedures is the first need. Stop. This dictation from Progressive Exercise 14. Ready? Start. I have great pleasure in welcoming you to this inaugural meeting of the National Commission of UNESCO. This is in some ways a memorable occasion for the constitution of the National Commission gives concrete shape to our efforts for international cooperation in the fields of education, science, and culture. It would therefore perhaps be appropriate if I should describe in some detail aims and objectives of UNESCO and the manner in which it has attempted to carry out its purposes. Para. After the experience of two world wars within the course of barely 25 years, thinking men and women all over the world realize as never before that there must be a change in the outlook of men to avert the calamity of a future disaster. It was out of this universal desire to find an instrument for the settlement of disputes without resort to war that there arose the United Nations with renewed hope for afflicted humanity. All conflicts have their ultimate origin in the mind of man, and it was felt that unless the causes of fear, suspicion, distress, and jealousy could be eradicated from human minds, no efforts by politicians and statesmen could remove the possibility of future wars. At the time of the preliminary discussions for setting up a United Nations organization, it was therefore decided that there should also be an organization for promoting closer collaboration among different peoples of the world in the fields of education, science, and culture. Accordingly, UNESCO was set up to achieve these ends. At the time of the constitution of UNESCO, it was realized that cooperation and understanding among nations could be built only if there was cooperation and understanding among the different elements. If within a nation itself there were divergent elements whose differing points of view had not been fully coordinated, such a nation could hardly serve as a harmonious unit in the international setting. Experience showed that there was not only large ignorance about different nations, but in many cases, members of the same nation were ignorant of one another's attitudes, beliefs, customs, and faith. This was an experience which was almost universal except in the case of a very few small and homogeneous nations. Further, it was felt that closer cooperation between different elements in our nation life would lead to a promotion of activities in all other fields also. Para. The Constitution of UNESCO provides that only states can be members. This guarantees that there will be no possibility of adding to international complications through its activities. There is, however, another aspect of the question which cannot be ignored: the nature of education, science, and culture is such that their cause can be served better by private and voluntary agencies. This is the reason why UNESCO Constitution insists that there should be voluntary bodies or national commissions to perform its functions in the national fields. Unfortunately, the experience of the last 3 years has not fully justified the hopes which were raised by the establishment of the United Nations organization. In spite of the initial agreement with which it started, it has today become the arena for struggles between rival blocs. It is true that the struggle is yet only a Cold War. This is, however, little consolation to those who seek peace on an enduring basis. Para. It is tragic that even today nations have not given up the old attitudes which so often led to war. The one say of hope offered in this gloomy picture today is the manner in which UNESCO, an allied organization of the United Nations, has been attempting to establish better relations among human beings in the fields of education, science, and culture. It is obvious that in the realm of material clash of interest, Compromise is difficult while in the fields of the creative spirit, cooperation and compromise are not only possible but are the natural law. The division of material wealth leads to a diminution in its quantity, while the distribution of spiritual wealth leads to mutual enrichment. UNESCO has also rightly recognized that all conflicts, even in the material field, have their ultimate origin in the mind of man. It was therefore felt that unless the causes of fear, suspicion, distress, and jealousy could be eradicated from the human mind, no efforts by the politicians and statesmen alone could remove the possibility of future conflicts. This is the justification of UNESCO as well as the reason why it has become a rallying ground for the faith and hope of all who want to avert the disaster of a third world war. In its brief life of 3 years, UNESCO has already considerable progress towards the achievement of its objects. The very fact of associating together a large number of people of different nations with marked differences in language, background, social habits, and outlook is a considerable achievement. The obligation under the Constitution of holding the General Conference in a different country each year has added to its burdens. Now, stop.